We bring in the studio this morning one of the gay rights activists, Mr. Should I call you Mr.?
A recent study just came out and it said that most men today are more compatible with other men.
You are gay.
Most men today are more compatible with other men.
Why are you gay?
No, I am not coming for your sexuality or calling you gay.
Even the conversations you hold all point to you being gay.
Most men today are more compatible with other men. No, I am not coming for your sexuality or calling you gay.
Are you not a man? How do you separate yourself from the male species when you say a statement like that? I'm not coming for your sexuality. Brother, you're a man. You're in that group. When dudes pander, they make it seem like they're separate from the guys that they're talking about. Just think about what he just said.
Most men today are more compatible with other men.
Brother, then that would include you. Do y'all understand how crazy that is? This video is not really about a study. It is not really about compatibility, and it is definitely not about accuracy. This is about pandering. This is about understanding how men like Trail build traction online by telling an audience, specifically women, what they want to hear, even when the source they cite doesn't actually say what he claims it says. Game recognizes game, which is why most men who understand women can identify these men very easily. We also understand that most women respond best to words that praise them, as opposed to what? The truth. So what he's saying is game, which is why panderers will always be prevalent in today's dating market. Is it underhanded? Yes, absolutely. But what's the purpose of being honest if lying to women results in monetary gain, sexual admiration, and access to women who leave your page thinking that you're on their side? And that's why the women who support this man deserve to get effed and effed over, because the end result for me as a content creator is the joy I feel when I review one of the millions of TikTok stories of these heartbreaks that are the outcome of his teachings. Now that you guys understand that, then everything else in this video will start to make sense. He said a recent study just came out, and it said that most men today are more compatible with other men.
A recent study just came out, and it said that most men today are more compatible with other men.
He worded it verbatim. So when I do clip up this video and I create a thumbnail, I'm going to use that exact same quote. I don't like to mischaracterize or misquote the people that I'm actually featuring on these videos. But since he said those exact words, that's exactly how the thumbnail is going to read. But the study he referenced was not about, was not a compatibility study, guys. It was a study of perceptions of economic and dating access among 1,072 Australian online daters. Yes, Australia. The abstract also says that the researchers were looking at perceptions of men's access to decent paying jobs, women's economic dependence on men, and men's and women's perceived dating access. It's not about sexuality. It's not about romantic compatibility, not whether men are supposedly better matched with other men. That headline was actually added by him, not by the study. And you know why he did that. And that matters because once you smuggle that phrase into the conversation, men are more compatible with other men, you already know what audience reaction you're actually trying to trigger. Black women. And he, more than any other panderer, knows what black women on social media are capable of. Do y'all remember the young man that went viral for saying that a woman he was dating wouldn't bring him a $20 meal? Watch this.
Story time. So a young lady that I had dealings with, or was dating, whatever you want to categorize it as, was coming over to the crib, right? And so I was feeling a little hungry. So I asked her, I was like, hey, can you, grab me food? I'm hungry and I don't want to leave the crib. She said, oh, sure, if you pay for it, I'll pick it up. So then I asked, wait, do I have to pay for it in order for you to bring me food? She said yes, because if I pay for it, it puts me in my masculine energy. Wait, so we've been dating for a little while and you can't bring me food? $20? Unless I pay for it? And to me, don't get it wrong, I was not mad at all. She still came over. I went and got my own food and everything. But it did make me look at her different.
So let's talk about this, because he wants to know who's in the wrong, whether it's him or her, which you're in the wrong, sir. I'm coming from a woman's standpoint. We're traumatized. We're traumatized. If me and you have only been dating for 5 months and you don't seem like you have applied any pressure, because a man that has been dating me for 5 months, it would have been nothing to get him a $20 meal. A lot of people are in your comments talking about, oh, she's broke. She's a broke bitch. She don't got it. Who the fuck don't got $20? You can even overdraft $20. $20 ain't shit. That woman would have got you a $20 meal and some, had you shown her what you were capable of. But I'm sure if she's hesitant to give you a meal and she's telling you, send me the money, I'll get it for you, that is a woman that has done a whole lot for the previous men that she's dealt with. She's done so much for the previous men that she's dealt with, and she's gotten nothing in return. She's terrified.
I need all my women to come to the comment section, because let's talk. Let's have a serious conversation. I'm just not seeing a video about the man and the $20 meal, asking a girl to buy him the $20 meal, and she's saying no. And I'm reading the comments, and I'm seeing some women say they would buy. Then I'm seeing other women say, why would I buy him a meal and he hasn't made it understandable if we together or not? Why would I buy him a meal if we on and off? Why would I be doing anything if we sneaking leaking? Why would I be buying him anything if we just chilling? I just want to get this kind of understanding of, why do we value money more than we value our own bodies?
What have I been saying? A woman won't cook for you, but she'll break it on down in the bedroom. She'll let you sneak and creep, but she ain't gonna cook for you. That woman even wouldn't buy him a $20 meal. But you know what? We've been dealing with each other for 6 months in the bedroom. That's all you get. So essentially what she's saying, you have wives and what, gentlemen, single men, and other things. Make sense? Women know the game more than the men do. And I'm gonna prove it to you in a second, but I'm gonna let this young woman cook.
Because basically what y'all saying is, this man, why would you give your coochie to a man that you feel like doesn't deserve a $20 meal from you? Why would you chill in an energy setting with somewhere that you don't feel like deserving of a $20 meal from you? So are you telling me that he doesn't deserve a $20 meal from you, but he deserves your coochie? He deserves your body. He deserves your soul. He deserves your mind.
Yes, young lady, that's exactly what they're saying. I mean, that's exactly what they're saying. So hold on. Let's go back. This is him, trying to lean into a POV. The girl you were dating for 5 months says she can't buy you a $20 meal because it puts her in her masculine. Twitter in a frenzy because I asked a woman I was dating off and on for 5 to 6 months if she could bring me food on her way to my crib. And now I'm sassy. They called him sassy. I'd still buy her food, nails, and lip fillers if she asked me, because it's in my heart. So he's still trying to lean into his lover boy type, pandering type thing. But they cooked this man. Hold on. He gets mad at me for not picking up his $20 meal. It was so prevalent on how they cooked him. The search was Trail the Trainer DL. They called bro gay so much. The search is Trail the Trainer DL. That's how women cooked him back in the day. Okay, so this is a stark difference from his content now.
How to properly open a door for a woman. My grandmother taught me that women should absolutely never touch door handles.
They even called his eye patches sassy. The eye patches so sassy. My man is not sending me to pick up any food. Do I look like Uber Eats? I am not the one to keep score. After he proceeded to list the score, they weren't dating. He said she was a sneaky link. See, they know the game, and this woman said he is a damn joke. Women know the game. Look, and then look. I thought y'all was just messing around. No title. See, there it is. I thought y'all was just messing around, so you shouldn't expect anything from this woman other than booty. There it is. Look, it's just the title for me. If it's non-existent, then apparently my money is too. So all they there for is weenie. They will look, man. And I'm trying to tell single men something. Women know the game better than y'all. Y'all just hesitant to play it. They know where they rank. They know where they stand. If you don't have a title, you don't get $20 meals. But you know what you do get? You get to bust this thing down in your bedroom, on the balcony, on the couch, wherever you want. So they know the game. So when you hear single women say things like this and they slot themselves into the other things category, then you will understand why I say things like this. If their tire catches a flat and she calls you at 3 a.m., I need to get to her because I want to make sure that she's safe. If it's a woman just some run around, she was useful to the group, then you may be like, man, what you calling me for? Call AAA. If y'all women ain't gonna cook for these single men out here, then that's what you should be doing with them. So women, when you hear this video, I want you to understand something. If you think that's cold of me for giving this type of advice, think about what your fellow counterparts just said. You will have sex with a dude, but you won't buy him a $20 meal. Makes sense? So until something changes, men are supposed to adapt. Okay? So if he doesn't get a girlfriend treatment, you don't get boyfriend treatment. Fair? All right.
Let me tell you about God, though.
Ever since Trail got that black woman wake-up call, he's been pandering ever since. And honestly, can you blame him? This video is proof that women have short memories and don't know any better once words edify their thoughts and their feelings.
Based on your education level, your emotional intelligence, your income level, your communication skills, you are more compatible with your bros
That is nuts. Let me stopping it. That is crazy.
than you are with the woman that you want. It went on to say that women are dominating in these 4 key areas and it's affecting the entire dating market. My goal is not to bash you, bro. My goal is to just bring you awareness so you know what you up against. First and most obvious one is financial independence. Biologically, historically, bro, women mate across and up. This means that they date men who do better than them in life. The reason is because women, they risk their bodies, their health, risk their independence, their life to have kids and to raise a family. And in order to make up for that, they want to date men that they know can provide for that family. Now, the women are doing better than the men financially.
Did you hear it? Specifically what he said.
Now, the women are doing better than the men financially.
That was his exact words. If you didn't catch it, let's go back.
Now, the women are doing better than the men financially.
This is what he said in the comments section. He said, if you would get out of your P-boy feelings and actually listen, I'm saying I guess he's trying to say they are now evolving in this area at a much faster rate than men. We all know that men on average make more than women, but the gap is steadily closing. Now, isn't that a contradiction? Didn't he specifically say,
now the women are doing better than the men financially?
I'm just calling it like I see it.
So they're not dating for survival anymore. They're not dating for family and shit anymore. They're dating men who can bring or provide an upgrade to their life because they don't need to bank on men for finance anymore.
And according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics in 2025, the median weekly earnings for full-time workers were $1,326 for men and $1,089 for women, which means women earned 82.1% of what men earned on the median measure, the most accurate measure. This is where my education comes in. When people hear numbers, You guys need to understand the difference between mean and median. The mean is the average. That number can be pulled upward by a relatively small number of very high earners. So if I was to take Elon Musk makes, billions, trillions of dollars, right? But that would be disingenuous. The median is the middle point, the typical person in the middle of the distribution. So if you want the cleaner, fairer number for what ordinary full-time men and women are making, the median is usually the better place to start. If we just use the mean, the top earners, who are disproportionately men, could make the overall male number look even more extreme, guys. So I'm not even doing that. I'm actually giving the fairer, more typical measure, and even there, men still earn more. If he wanted to say the gap is narrowing, fine. That is one argument, but that is not the same thing as saying women are doing better financially than men. He took a trend that you will see on social media and sold it like a completed reversal. And that is what panderers do. They start with something real enough to sound smart, then they stretch it just far enough to flatter the female audience, and women fall for it every time.
The second area they're dominating in is education. The average woman reads about 15 books per year. The average man reads less than 7. Now, this is deeper than some fucking books. It is simply an indication that the knowledge and education gap is growing. And now conversations aren't even intriguing. You get on that date, you get on that phone call, you have nothing to talk about. If you can't stimulate a woman's mind, you will never get to her physical.
Once you go to the actual Pew numbers, you see the problem. Pew found that women read more than men, but the numbers were not what he suggested. Pew's mean figure, but
let me tell you about God though,
was 15 books for women and 9 books for men. The median figure, again, the more typical person, was about 5 books for women and 3 books for men. And once again, mean versus median matters. The mean can be pushed upward by heavy readers. The median tells you what the typical person looks like. So if you are trying to make the gap sound dramatic, you quote the bigger average number, and then you shrink the male side even more than the source does.
The average woman reads about 15 books per year. The average man reads less than 7.
That is what he did. And that matters because once you inflate the difference, you can start slipping into other claims that were never actually proved, that men are mentally behind, that men are not stimulating enough, that women have outgrown men intellectually. But the source he is leaning on does not justify that leap. The real data says women read more. It does not say men are conversationally inferior or romantically incompatible with women. None of that was in the studies that he mentioned.
The third area is emotional intelligence. This is probably the biggest one, fellas. And it is so bad that there's this proposal called redshirt the boys. Scientific evidence backs the idea that delaying when boys start school could improve academic and developmental outcomes. Basically, they want to keep all the young boys back a year or two just to keep up with women. Let that sink in.
If you're familiar with sports, you probably heard redshirt. You redshirt freshman, where you skip a year or whatever so you can play the next year and stuff like that. But he mentioned that in regards to dating. And this is probably the sloppiest move that he had, because he turns an early childhood development discussion into an adult social argument. The redshirting conversation is about early school years, roughly 4 to 7 years old, guys. It comes from the observation that those ages, boys often develop more slowly than girls in areas like self-regulation, behavior, and certain aspects of school readiness. That is the context. Young boys tend to have more energy. They want to get out. They want to touch things. They want to play with things. They want to build things.
Boys have become second-class citizens in our nation's schools. Boys are often viewed as defective girls in our nation's classrooms. Their energy, imaginations, their preferences are just not valued by many teachers. Of the children diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, 75% are boys. And some psychologists have suggested that if you want to prescribe less Ritalin, offer children more recess. Our schools need to work with, not against, the kinetic imaginations of boys in order to move them towards being educated young men.
which is the same thing we see in the workforce.
Where we hear about massive gender bias against women in fields like physics, technology, engineering. Well, what if it's just not true? That's coming up next on The Factual Feminist. Well, as a rule, women tend to gravitate to fields such as education, English, psychology, biology, art history, while men are more numerous in physics, mathematics, computer science, and engineering. Why should that be? Well, there's no simple answer. But when professors were asked why there was a relative scarcity of female professors in math, science, and engineering, 1% believed that it was because of women's lack of talent. 24% believed that it was because of sexist discrimination, and 74% chalked it up to differences between men's and women's interests.
And that's just simply the context, guys. That is the age range, 4 to 7. Not grown men, not the dating market, not adulthood. The USC Schaefer summary of the school entry research says delayed school entry can produce an early academic boost, but the initial advantage generally disappears by the end of elementary school. But he didn't mention that. He made it seem like this applied to adult men. He used it to imply that men are so developmentally behind women that society has to hold them back to keep up. He's crazy. And again, that's not him using his intelligence. That's simply pandering. That is audience calibrated storytelling. Okay?
And then the fourth, and this one is obvious, but just health and self-care. Women on average go to the doctor more, typically take care of their skin and their bodies more, and just overall prioritize their health and their well-being more.
Now, some of that has truth in it as far as healthcare use goes. Women do tend to use more healthcare services, but the problem is the same as before. He takes one category, strips out the context, and then uses it to imply a broader superiority. Because if I wanted to do the exact same thing, I could. I could say that men have lower severe obesity rates than women. The CDC reported that severe obesity was about 6.7% for men and 12.1% for women. I could also say men were more likely than women to meet both aerobic and muscle strengthening guidelines in 2020. It was 28.3% for men compared with 20.4% for women. Now, if I were a panderer, I could have packaged that and say, see, men are more disciplined with their bodies. Men train more. Men are in better shape. Men maintain themselves better. That would sound slick. It would flatter a male audience, and it would be just as flawed as what he did, because I would be doing the same trick, selecting a few favorable measures and pretending they settled the whole question. And that is a point I want people to catch. I'm not saying that men are better. I'm showing how easy it is to manufacture the opposite narrative if you are willing to cherry pick the way he cherry picked.
Now, for the men that got even a little bit of money, a little bit of emotional intelligence, go to the gym and take care of themselves, the dating pool is vast for us. This shit is easy.
You see how he said the dating pool is vast for us? So essentially what he's saying, he's selling the market that he fits all of those categories, so he has access to all the women that he wants. And 2 million subscribers in the way that he's speaking in this pandering type manner, then I'm pretty sure women are probably throwing it at him. And he understands that. This is a common tactic. So yeah, he's good. He's good.
The competition is super low, fellas. So hope this video helps. Talk to you soon.
Ask yourself a question. Do you really think that video was for the men? You got 2 million subscribers on TikTok, and I'm pretty sure the majority of those subscribers are women if this is what you're doing. Once women are hooked into the pander or the grift, you usually aren't going to talk them out of it with facts. They will start filling in the gaps themselves. They will tell themselves, well, even if the study is from Australia, the same thing is happening here. This woman responded to him and said, at the end of the day, stop making excuses and just become better men. The reality in Australia is exactly that here in the US. They will create the bridge for the lie because they like where the lie is taking them. That is why I always say you do not have to lie to women if they like you enough. They will lie to themselves. And that is exactly what those comments were showing. This was never really about compatibility argument. It was a pander dressed up like one. You can see the way he pandered all the way through that short video. He opened with the study line because he's saying that
most men today are more compatible with other men.
He knows that it's going to trigger a certain response from women. Then he follows with the money, education, emotional development, and self-care, all framed in a way that flatters women and puts men in a lower light. Then, to keep himself insulated,
for the men that got even a little bit of money, a little bit of emotional intelligence, go to the gym and take care of themselves, the dating pool is vast for us. This shit is easy. The competition is super low.
Why would he say that, guys, ladies and gentlemen? Because he understands the social reward. He knows that by aligning himself with women's grievances, women will still make an exception for him. That is another pandering tactic. Degrade men as a class, then quietly exempt yourself as one of the good ones.
No, I am not coming for your sexuality or calling you gay.
So you can convert that performance into female approval. And again, this is why arguing directly with his base is usually pointless. My goal here is not to convince the women in that comment section. He already has those women locked in emotionally. My goal is to help the people who are still capable of seeing what is happening, the undecided people, the people who don't know yet, understand how certain men distort the dating conversation for attention and social leverage, because this absolutely affects the dating market. Men like this contribute to the group of women who are already inclined to see men negatively, already inclined to think disagreement from men is sass.
I'm sick of your sass.
That is what dudes like Trail are feeding. And once that message gets enough reinforcement, it starts shaping how people interact, how they date, and how they interpret one another. That is why I always talk about the rule of 10. 3 people for, 3 people are already against, and 4 people are undecided. He is not trying to convert everybody. He is feeding the 3 who already agree with him. That is his whole job. And if you understand that, then you'll stop being surprised when accuracy doesn't matter to his audience. The study was about perceptions of dating and economic access among Australian daters, not male compatibility with men. He said women are doing financially better.
No, the women are doing better than the men financially.
That's not true. That's how panderers do. All right. And again, once you understand that, you stop thinking that the point is to be correct. The point is to be useful to a certain audience, to the female audience that's on this platform. The point is to tell them what feels good. The point is to let them co-sign the lie for themselves. Because when somebody likes the direction of the message enough, they will often do the rest of the work for you. Okay? So I just want to be clear. My goal is not to go under his comments and argue with women who have already decided that the message feels true. My goal is to help the people watching recognize the tactic and the next time they see it. Because once you understand how pandering works, you stop getting emotionally pulled into it. You stop trying to debate every dishonest framing. You stop thinking every bad argument deserves a rescue attempt. Sometimes the smartest thing you can do with the pander is exactly this. Identify it, expose it, and then let the people who still want it, let them have it. Because once we see it, we see the tactic, you can't unsee it. And that's why so many men are able to recognize these types of guys off the bat. We saw right through Derek Jackson. Women didn't, because we understand, like, if women, the words mean more than a man's actions. Even if he's not doing what he said he was going to do, if you could hook a woman, in their mind, like Trail said, he's like, hey man, you won't be able to stimulate a woman's mind. That's all you have to do. Ace Metaphor said the same thing. He said he used to be a poet. So he used to be able to talk to women and get in like that. So they know the game, and that's why these dudes are smart. They'll tell women what they want to hear so they can get that monetary gain. And that's exactly what he did. But he understands what he's doing. He's a panderer. So to him, keep taking these women for their money because they'll never learn. It's bullshit what you're doing, Trail. You effing up the game for these single men out here. Because now all the women that's following you, I'm going to tell the men over here to discard them because they think they're winning. Or if they're not going to discard them, they're going to be useful to the group. And then they're gonna be back in your comment section telling you stories about how they got effed and left. And they deserved it because they listened to your dumbass. Fair? Fair.